ladies, Dr. Cris here with part 2 of my Women's Health series. Today I'll discuss something called estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance is very, very common. It's a common type of hormone imbalance, and it has a particular side effect or symptom profile that women experience. So I thought that we would go through that, what it is, and if you've heard of estrogen dominance but don't really know what it is, then listen up, because this might really help you and might help you understand why you've been feeling the way you've been feeling. If estrogen levels elevate, and normally they should be in quite good balance with progesterone depending on where we are in our cycle, but if estrogen levels start to elevate in respect to our progesterone levels as part of our menstrual cycle, and obviously if you want to review that, you can go back to part 1 of this series and we can discuss that if people would like in the series to come. Just feel free to ask questions below. But if estrogen levels start to elevate, and the things that will elevate estrogen is if we've gained a few kilos and it's not normal for us to be of a certain body fat percentage. So if our weight has increased, and certainly after kids this can happen, if we've had too much sugar in our diet, if we've been particularly stressed, had lots of coffee, if we're in chronic fatigue or something called adrenal fatigue, estrogen levels can elevate. Or if we're going through perimenopause or we've got polycystic ovaries, estrogen levels can start to elevate in respect to progesterone. When estrogen levels start to elevate, we can experience things like irritability, sore breasts before our period, we can have heavy periods, we can have thrush infections before our periods. We might find that we have all these weird and wonderful symptoms that then abate and go away once we get our period, but then they come back the next cycle. So estrogen dominance, it's very, very common. It's very frustrating. I often find women say, why do I feel so bloated before my period, or so like I'm retaining so much fluid? And oftentimes it's just because that estrogen is just a little bit too high. There are ways to address it, and obviously we'll look at that. Estrogen dominance in particular, the first things are address your lifestyle factors. So look at what you can change. Don't be overwhelmed by 1,000 different things, but what can I change? Can I reduce the sugar in my diet? Can I reduce the caffeine? Can I reduce the alcohol? Do I need to cut out soft drink? Do I need to do a bit more exercise, a bit more walking? Try and get the body moving to reduce some of that insulin resistance, which we'll talk about again in the coming weeks as well. That will help reduce that estrogen level down. Obviously, addressing stress will help reduce it. That's really hard to do, I realize. Getting enough sleep, once again, really hard to do for some of us, will help to reduce that estrogen down. And there are some natural supplements that can really help as well, which we can go into if people are interested. Oftentimes, it's best not to diagnose yourself. The best way to know if you're estrogen dominant is to have a salivary hormone test. Some women have blood tests as well. So I use a combination of the two, and I find that really, really helpful. And then we go on to prescribe what we need to prescribe to help women out with their estrogen dominant symptoms. So I hope that's been helpful. It explains a really common cluster of symptoms that people experience that are very, very frustrating, but quite easily fixed if you know what to do. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the link below, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you again in the next update of the Women's Health series.